parts kind of thrashing about.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah. Finally, they did that fetish. I guess.
I'll go take a look at his 5-star earlier.
Oh god, it's live.
Yeah. It just started. Don't worry about it. It cut off most of that conversation.
What a nice start to the stream. No context.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you, so it was exactly that period of time, so I just went and started it.
I mean, could have.
Okay, hello everyone. Today we will be discussing the new units that released for the Chapter 12 campaign. Joining me today is, yet again, Zalgus.
Wait, why me first?
Why not you first?
I thought it was Irby first normally.
Is it? I feel like I randomized between you two, but...
Well, I mean, I'm I'm second in the discussion list, but yes. Hello, yes, it's me.
Very observant, as you can see, which is exactly why he's a perfect candidate to be up here with us discussing. And also joining us today is Irby.
Hello.
Man,
not pull on this banner.
Hey, it's not that bad.
It is a very good banner, but it's a permanent banner, and we're going to get a lot of events, most likely, in the very near future after this ends.
I'm like banking on the next event being Fashionista reprint, which is why I'm okay with like spending all my tickets on this.
I don't.
Suzuki Eva.
I don't quite think that's going to happen, but we'll see.
It should happen this year, right? Just to be consistent with everything else.
There's some things that have surfaced that led us to believe that after this is going to be a new event.
Okay. By the way, let us know how the sound balance is. I know my sound is probably maybe okay, but I noticed last stream that Zalgus and Irby were a bit quiet, and I think that was my stream setup's fault that time. I tried adjusting the volumes this time, so it's a bit louder. But anyways, let's enough of this.
Just shout if you want.
True. Yeah, let us just jump right in with the AR, which is very cool because you can max it. It's free. I know it's my fucking responsibility to talk about this, but I just realized I forgot to look up when this AR ends. This is a limited AR, right? Do you guys remember when it ends in terms of distribution?
I think it's in October or something.
October? July, yeah. August, September, October. Okay, so you've got like 3 or 4 months left over. Be sure to max this AR because it is extremely important to get that maximum coin bonus, which scales with the maximum AR level from 10% to 15%. In addition, it also has one of the strongest AR effects that we've ever received, and doubly so because it's maxable. Weakness to the 4 squares directly in front of the unit who is equipping it, and weakness, the status level of that scales as well with the max AR level. So this is an AR that was very clearly designed for coin scuffles because of its peculiar range and its restrictions, which is very few world units, and not many cases you'd want to bring 2-star or under units. But in this case, you'd want to mostly equip it on Ether Lucky Cat in situations where you don't have Nightglow's Kurugane. Most units can only be able to do a large amount of damage, but not actually be able to clear their row. So it's usually just a bit under, with a few exceptions. So this AR, you could put on Lucky Cat, and then you'll have one of those sub-lethal units that can move in the same column as Ether Lucky Cat and can eliminate that column. It's not super necessary to bring Ether Lucky Cat in the main slot, though, if you do have Nightglow's Kurugane, which we discussed last time of why he's so strong for coin scuffles. But if you don't, then yeah, this is the perfect AR to bring, and either way you should be bringing it in sub-slot, if not main slot. But fun fact, which should be clear from the news about this, the coin bonus also applies to the support unit. So that means the new optimal unit to bring for your support is actually Ether Lucky Cat with this AR equipped. That's because the previous highest was offered by Beachside Andvari, which was also 15%. However, with this AR, which offers 15%, in addition to Lucky Cat's 2%, that is the new highest offered is 17%. And yeah, I guess the highest setup you'd want to bring is 2 Ether Cats, 2 of these ARs, one of each from the support, as well as your own Beachside Andvari. And Yep, that's pretty much how you can max coin bonus. Other than that, outside of coin scuffles, you may decide to bring this AR for just increasing damage in general. It's good for both backline units that offensively facilitate damage, as well as the actual damage dealers in front line. There's a number of units you can decide to equip it with, such as Huasamo, who already buffs the units in front of them, or Fashionista Wakantanka, who is actually quite a strong damage dealer himself. There's also Makroik, who has that sniper range changed, so that works out fairly well for him. And Tezcatli Polka, who's kind of a damage dealer. Fuxi, which is one new unit. Is it Fuxi? How do you pronounce it? Fuxi. All right. I did not do my research and pronunciations this time. Fuxi. And Musashi, which is also a Wiseman. I believe he should be able to equip the AR too.
Yes, he is. Yes, I tried it.
Besides Duo and Shuichi and Musashi, is there anything else we can equip this?
Musashi's a Wiseman?
He appeared briefly in when Wiseman introduced, and he was giving information.
I know, but we've seen him more with the craft.
No, he actually has 3 affiliations in the profile when they did that.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't actually know that. He can equip a lot of ARs then.
Yeah, he can equip for Wiseman, Crafters, and an unknown one.
Question mark. I feel like that's not necessarily 3. That's just maybe 1 or more left over or undisclosed. Just like a safe hold. Maybe he has an official guild and he's just working on the side with these guilds. I'm not really sure how the guild system works, but obviously it's not one and done. You can apply to many, apparently. But yeah, that is all I have to say about this AR. It's a good stat boost, but
I guess R19 can also equip it, as well as Noted, but...
is R19? Oh yeah, that's right. I was trying to remember. R19 is a Wiseman?
Yes, he does have it on the
What?
card.
Again, shouldn't he be closer to the crafters or summoners at this point?
No, he has Wiseman on the profile, as well as Noted for some reason.
Nodens is a Wiseman? What's that in Nightglows? I don't even know. Okay.
How's Majima a Wiseman?
That is a good question. I don't know. To answer, I read the summaries of Nightglows, and I didn't quite make the association either, so I don't know. It's just there on this profile.
Okay. I really wish LifeWonders would implement a way to filter by guilds and schools, because so far their filtering system is pretty good when it comes to attributes or weapon types. But yeah, this is now an actual relevant filter and not just a fluff filter. So please, LifeWonders, I hope you work on that. And I also hope you give each of the guilds their own fancy logo, because that would be neat. But
do we even have logos for most of them?
We have a few logos. Most of them don't have one, but I know Warmongers definitely has one. It's like the rocket or something with the WM. And then the Berserkers logo is kind of gaudy. It's just like Berserkers stylized with a sword and shield or something behind it. It's in the arena. And then there's also I'm not really sure if this belongs to creators, but it's some of the people from the same school they're from has a school logo undershirt. So I'm not sure if that's the school logo or that also works for
that's a cool logo, most likely.
Yeah, but yeah, those are the only ones that come from off the top of my head.
Yeah, anyway, this AR, yeah, it's ridiculous how good it is. I can't believe they gave a 100% maxable weakness effect. That's insane.
Honestly, probably the best AR that they ever released to be available.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other ARs, like the Shiro AR, are pretty good, but this one, since you can max it so easily, is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, the only issue with it, of course, is just what's it called? Its phase starts, so you can't really plan for it. You just appear there, and then you hope you're there. Unless you're redoing the change quest, but yeah.
You can plan it for a change quest, yes.
You can plan for it if it's in phase, or if the person is in slot 1 or 3, because they will always appear in the leftmost column in a thin map.
True.
Oh yeah, also use this with Lucky Cat and Kuma. There you go. There's one column deleted.
Yeah.
Is it strong enough with Kima, even with the water units?
Yes.
Yes, I've been testing this. But you have to it has to be a level 41 weakness, I believe. Although preferably you'd have 100 SA1 or AR level 100, so you can get the 100% weakness. But yes, Kuma's fair enough.
Need to be 61.
Oh well, I don't know. I don't remember. I can't go back and untest it anymore.
I think it's 61, but yeah, I think Infernal Merman can too, with this AR. So
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, well, I use Kuma because he has evasion piercing, so I can use the evasion piercing AR on Jamboree Moritaku instead.
Oh, Infernal Merman also has evasion piercing, so you can actually
cool.
put it on him as well.
The point is, you have a lot of options now for your column clear. But yeah, there were only very few units before that could handle their own column without any help, like Tsukiyomi, and only VC'd him, and Hogan, I believe he was just insanely strong, even though he had like Valiant weakness against the main 3 attributes, because he started with like crit plus guaranteed or something like that, plus ardor and move. And then there was like any other examples? I actually can't remember.
There is Sandayu now.
Oh yeah,
which is pretty strong, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah, it's kind of pointless now that Nightglows exists. But yeah, suffice to say, if you don't have Nightglows Kurogane, which is pretty likely, this AR can help you get the second best setup possible.
The problem is more that there is a huge lack of evasion piercing shot or snipe or magic units who can deal enough damage to kill their column. Most of the evasion piercing units like Temujin, they are not reliable enough. They need to proc a crit, which obviously is not practical. Kuma is like the one person who has 100% crit and evasion piercing, but he can't do enough damage to kill the war units without help from someone else, which this helpfully provides. So yeah, that's the main problem.
Also, his attack stat is shit.
Yeah, that too.
Plus that means he benefits even more from attack seating, which you probably won't have to do since you could just do this now instead.
Maybe not once they release Mythic. I don't know, can they release another tier of Coin Quest?
I don't think they will.
You know, it's about time. They can now that there are a lot stronger units, and you know, Nightglows Kurogane can just blow everyone out of the water. You know,
no hard grinding maps, please.
I mean, the hard grinding coin maps are basically the new semester ones, I guess, that they will keep doing every year.
Just you know, make them still one-shottable, even if they are harder. That's the one condition I'm hoping for. At least one-shottable and not requiring charges, please. But yeah, I think we talked enough about this free AR, which everyone should be maxing within the next 3 or 4 months. So
I think we talked too much about it, to be honest.
It's a good AR. It deserves the time. Like, unlike the rest of the units, which are like okay at best or something. let's go talk about them now. Actually, starting with Smoky, if you will, Salgus.
A big smoke. I keep making that joke. Right, so Smoky God. I don't know why he's called that. It's kind of an unwieldy name, but I've probably just referred to him as Smoky for ease of use. So he is a well-known unit, and he's got a pretty interesting kit, which he has. I'll talk about the most interesting part last.
Sure, but let me just say one thing. I forgot to read the comments. Hey, Duckling, nice to see you.
All right.
I don't care about any of the units in this banner, but I like you all, so I'm watching. Ah, that's sweet. And also kind of true. And still amazing coin generator. Yeah, so keep up that AR. And I'm sorry I interrupted you, Zagas, so now you can go ahead. I'm pretty sure Jer Bear's comments were when you started.
Well, just call him JoJo. Yes, this is a JoJo reference in more ways than one. Maybe. So yeah, I'll talk about the interesting part last, so you can change the image later. So
yeah, sure.
Smoky God, he has a weird kind of long-lasting turn effect, or it takes long to activate. Every 5 turns he'll remove all debuffs, then on the next turn he'll give CP to all his allies and self, and then he'll apply countdown to the entire board, including his own team. This thing's it's kind of hard to play around in, because countdown's pretty detrimental, but you have the opportunity to remove it. The idea is you're supposed to apply nullify debuff to counteract it, and then all the entirety of the enemies have countdown and you don't. But I find that hard to play with, honestly, because his own CS is difficult to kind of use because it's blow range, and you have to do it before the countdown happens.
I mean, that makes it easier to time as another plus.
I mean, I guess, but it could be at least be like thrust or shot, then be easier to hit. But I digress. The only units who are immune to countdown natively are Necros and Bacchus, and that's it. The only other thing that you can use is the Fisher King AR, which can bestow any wood unit 100% countdown immunity. There's also a few other units who are immune through other methods, like removing the debuff as it happens, like Christmas Yasiori or
Dynasty?
Huh?
Oh,
Golden
that
Birthday.
one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Golden Dusty. And Jamboree Eisen's very good for it because he can actually completely invalidate it because he will remove the countdown off of everyone else.
Well, as long as he's slotted after.
He has to be after Smoky, though, for that to happen. The rest of his kit isn't that interesting besides the one thing, which I'll talk about later. He kind of... You're not supposed to move him or else he'll gain weakness and then turn into paper. And when he gets hit, he applies some minor debuffs and damage reduction. Dazzle to enemies, evasion, and flat damage. The rates on that are not that great, and so honestly, in my opinion, you shouldn't be letting him get hit anyway, but that's not the interesting part. So the most interesting part about Smoky God is his drastic skill activation rate. What it does is increase rate by 50% for one turn, and only one turn, so it'll run out right after. So on the first turn of every phase, you will be able to take advantage of massively increased skill activation rates for some people. So it's a short-lasting buff. So it's best used with really high impact skills that can have kind of meh to or low to mediocre rates. So there's lots of stuff like the stuff as low as 10%, but you can ideally you'd use it with stuff like 50% to get 100% rate. You can switch it now. So I made a small and kind of ugly looking list of units who can be used with this. So Kuchi, you give him extremely reliable countdown infliction. Both of the Hephaestuses get very high crit weakness paralysis. The other Hephaestus from Summer Memory also crit, but also 100% charm because he has his own concentration and it's a pretty big AoE too. Balor is he's kind of notorious for his 10% rate on his CS weapon change all. That becomes 60%, so you're actually pretty likely to get it. Although that's actually kind of hard to take advantage of because you can't really do it on phase 1 unless you have a very specific. Actually,
go with Christmas Ryota. There you go.
I was gonna ask if you ever managed to set that up, but you might be able to do it turn 1 if you have.
Yeah,
Christmas
I've seen a video of it.
old.
It's someone did Christmas Ryota and Balor and Smoky, and he was able to get a charge every turn, which is like cool, I guess.
Nice. Yeah, so I guess you could do very reliable turn 1 nukes if you have a very specific setup. But
yeah, because we're in a great shortage of that.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of funny to do with Balor because he inflicts some pretty ridiculous damage, and he also just inflicts some pretty debilitating statuses. Paralysis itself on its own is honestly pretty deadly, but also countdown stigma, so basically cripples whoever is in shot range in front of him. And Licho, you change all of his debuffs to 100%, so you curse them, skill lock them, and you change them to blow, so it's pretty crippling. Obviously, this is only works for turn 1 of a phase, but you can get a lot of mileage out of these debuffs. The 2 to 3 turns that they offer, you can do a lot in them. So I'd say that those are some of the more interesting people you can pair them up with. I don't know if you guys have any suggestions.
Let's see now. I think like when I saw your notes for this and I put it up, I was like, oh yeah, it would. It actually would be better specifically on units that have multiple debuffs, just because rolling them all would be annoying.
Who are you thinking of?
I was just thinking just like cases of single powerful debuffs, like anyone's paralysis or anyone's...
Like all the loser 60% crits?
Or anyone does crit, yes. Crit being another example.
I'm thinking of Triton right now.
Oh my god, you're evasion.
Big evasion. No, but yeah, my opinion is that it's best used on the really high impact stuff that'll debilitate the enemy team.
The golden four, according to LifeWonders, which is countdown, paralysis, fear, and bind.
Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, fear's pretty common enough, but paralysis is usually pretty low rates. So, which, you know, to be fair, I think it's honestly the most powerful movement stopping effect. It lasts the longest, along with fear, and it reduces their damage. And it's not really resisted as much as fear. I think I might be pulling that out of my ass. But anyway, yeah. So there's some pretty cool stuff that you can pair with. I'm sure there'll be stuff in future.
Milk also mentioned that it could be good for a festival Licho for that non-range.
I actually did think about putting that, but I looked at that, and it's a 76% rate when it's paired with his own concentration. And I thought, weapon change none, 76% rate. That's pretty good. And then I looked at Vanilla Licho, and he does it at 100% rate to blow. So I thought that was cooler too. But yes, Festival Licho can do that bigger pyramid shape, so he can definitely basically cripple an entire map if he triggers it every time, which is pretty interesting. So yeah,
I personally think that these suggestions for are good, but none of them are particularly game breaking with the things we have right now. On the flip side, because of how strong and generally the fact of 50% is, in addition, I feel like Smoky will only get stronger as the game keeps on going on. More units are released. We only need like one unit that has like real effects, but has like ridiculous effects for him to be also ridiculously strong.
I think he is pretty strong already. I think the only bad part about it is that, as it was said before, the playing around the countdown stuff, which
I don't like that.
Which honestly, it shouldn't be as hard as it is to get around, but oh well. I think it can definitely make a difference in how to use these units, at least. It's definitely going to impact the game as a whole because of it. I mean, how many units are there that you just look at it? Oh, it's shit rates, disgusting. We don't use it.
A lot, actually. I was googling my notes document for rates, and I complain about them a lot.
Yeah, for instance,
speaking
you
of
basically get like 100% bind on a free unit with Benton or something.
I was half considering on when I was also thinking about units we thought of shit rates. I was like, maybe this would be good on odds too. Maybe.
I guess, but you'd be doing it for not that much payout, like compared to this stuff. Because I mean, I chose these because I thought they were. I mean, Fuxi was like the first one I thought of for some reason, and you know, count on its own's cool and all, but you could do the rest of these and you know, stun the enemies or cripple them in some other way rather than just trying to kill them. You know, even though killing is generally the name of the game. But anyway, so I think Smoky's definitely an interesting unit, but pretty much only for his drastic skill rate up. I feel like the rest of his stuff in this kit is kind of not really worth. Like his defensive stuff when he's being hit, I feel like it's better to just not let him get hit in the first place.
Well, because he needs to get hit if you want to get that nullify debuff charge up, which you know you probably. I feel like it'd be better just to use a different setting, like that.
Yeah,
but if you don't want to be like stuck with something like that, then that's an option. It's nice that he has the option tied into his own kit, so he doesn't necessarily have to be tied to someone who applies nullify debuff.
I guess he does have healing. I mean, I guess he'd be okay for stalling for the global countdown and CP, but but yeah. ARs. He doesn't really have that many that are synergized with him since he kind of a weird support who doesn't do anything after the first turn, basically. So just use Sun and Oil for CP or the Wisemen AR. You'll hear me say that again for the next unit.
It's really interesting. Like he doesn't do anything, so apply Sun and Oil.
Yes, apply Sun and Oil. I have to.
Even though he has like no other CP effects for his allies. Well, I guess the one every 6 turns, but like
it's not like the other ones do anything for him unless you want the healed or allies from the
you get spirit.
Yeah, spirit.
The true meta is bringing 2 Smoky God so you can get that 100 CP on turn 6.
I mean, I mean, that could be something, but then you'd have to play around the countdown still. Cause...
Oh yeah, no, but what if you use it with a unit that applies Nullify debuff and clears the whole board on that turn? It's perfect.
Like who?
Oh my god.
I don't know. That is a good question. That is, I think Gendarme Ikotoshi does apply Nullify debuff on CS or something like that to allies itself.
Oh yeah, so something I didn't mention. So the his turn countdown, or his it's annoying to say countdown like that. No, his turn counts. His turn start skills that will work on a timer. There are total turns, so you could manipulate it so that you enter a phase that will hit you with a bunch of incoming debuffs, and then he immediately removes them all. And it's the sort of thing you might plan around.
Oh yeah, that is the plan. Provided it's phase 2 or later.
Like, well, I'm trying to, like, his CP gain. Do you remember the Albrecht map where he
they give a bunch of
all your
CP?
CP?
Yeah,
So you could use someone like Smoky God to counteract that by having him, if you enter on turn 6, immediately give everyone 50 CP. So that's the sort of thing you can use to plan around, or countdown even, if you want to immediately inflict countdown to the entire map.
I hope you're all good at math, by the way, since these are 3 different clocks that each with different periods. It's not like they're all 7 turns long offset.
Just learn your multiplication tables. Alternatively, look for the nearest 5. That's how I would probably do it. Well, no, I know my multiplication tables, but the easy way to do it is just do a multiple of 5 and then see if it's 1 or 2 past it. There you go.
I'm fine with 5 or 6, but I feel too big brain counting by 7s.
I can do 7s fine. But yeah, that's about all. Bring him for his cool skill activation rate and do some big skill activation. I mean, do crit plus with Gandalva. There you go. Crit plus plus.
Crit plus plus. It's the meta for Gandalva.
Kind of surprised that neither of you mentioned, or at least emphasized this, but his flat damage is actually fairly impressive. Negative 8k HP every time he's hit. At a decent rate too. It's
every time. 80% of the time.
I said it was usual. It was kind of high. That's what I said. And of course, this is after he's been hit, so he could feasibly be hit multiple times by like combo or something like that. So he could be activating lots of times.
It would be cooler if it affected adjacent units as well. Unfortunately, we can't have nice things.
And that honor only goes to Soul, the strongest unit in the game.
Damn it.
Okay, let's. Why don't you read the comments and then we'll move on, Salgus?
Okay, let's see, where is it? Yes, just call him Jojo. Yes, Smoky the Bear. Ryota gets a smoking addition. Addition. The team with Wood and Smoky. If you want to do big CSs with what's his face, Balor, you'd need those 2 for it. I'm pretty sure you would absolutely have to have Christmas Ryota. He's the only one who can give enough CP. Countdown on turn 7 is a non-issue outside of Survival Quest. I mean, depending on what team, or maybe CQ. I've got phase start only works once per fight. Well, once per phase. Depends on how many phases it has. Irby, you're always thinking of Triton. Is this true?
Wow, called out.
Smoky is curious due to his short-term and long-term utility. For the most part, you'll be relying on the 50% prop rate buff, but with the proper team, you can work around the countdown. Yeah, I do agree with that. I don't really like it because I feel like it's too slow. Having a 7-turn... Waiting 7 turns to try and take advantage of a countdown.
Yeah, just
for the CP.
Just let Mephistopheles die.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot easier ways to play around countdown and stuff without having to wait for his really slow clock. I will have the same complaint later. Okay, but this on Cthulhu. What, the 50%? Which one? Well, no, Nightglows has like basically 100%, doesn't he? I remember talking about that. So, what are vanilla Cthulhu's rates?
It's like 30%, but it's after buff, so it almost always procs anyways. with Leona and
I mean, I guess you could do that if you wanted really high proc rates, but I don't feel like it will work that well with him.
It's not even worth mentioning because Kasuga has a million ways to be improved. It's like
yes.
whatever.
Well, I mean,
look at this! A new unit that gives a buff. It'll be good with Kasuga.
Yeah,
Please stop.
After buff is a strong effect. I try not to mention him. What the debuff removal and 50% team isn't very interesting. Yeah, I mean the debuff removal on a timer is very different from what's his face, Tonte, who does it phase start only. So it could definitely be useful in some manner if you can time incoming debuffs with the removal debuffs. What units have been told about already? An AR and this guy just got here. Yeah, just Smoky. And the AR, nice. Finally got to a stream after 10k years. Hello, Hidden.
Even to the end of a few other ones. Emphasis on the end.
None units are kind of getting the short end of the stick when it comes to ARs, IMO. Also, Oz meta taking root. Pog. No, Oz will never be relevant until he gets an Evo. Or not an Evo, a variant rather. His Evo was not enough to make him interesting, IMO. And yeah, none units. I mean, all the none units are pretty strong, so well, I wouldn't say all of them, but they're usually pretty decent, so I don't know if they really need the help. But it would be nice if we got more, but the problem is that they're kind of limited in what they can do, because most of them are, by nature of their weapon type, they have to be supportive until CS. Unless we get some none unit that changes, like weapon changes normally. I guess it's Astarte. But yeah, no Oz meta. Smoky plus 5-star duo is also a fun way to play around. Yes, 70% proc rate to anyone. That would be interesting.
Duo who? All I know is 4-star Itzamna with the Arc AR.
Handsome duo on the AR with
But
really
you have
hefty
to
chin.
move him. Disgusting.
Oh god. I think he's supposed to be supposed to be the Buddha.
I mean,
Or
you can kind of see this
Supposed to
similarities.
be Buddha.
Yeah, he is supposed to be.
Or a yeah. Crap, I meant addiction. Oh. Oh, I guess it was earlier. You meant addiction. But now just kill meth. None units are good though. Looks at Summer Sathog, but Summer Sathog, oh man, he's
the one none unit that we don't talk about.
I like him, but he's really not that useful. His rates are kind of low on his charm, and he's kind of all he does is make the map take a lot longer when he CS's because he has to proc a million effects every time he hits something. God,
He was also useful in the Nightclubs class to pull units in.
I guess, but you could just get literally any of the other fashionista units.
Actually, you couldn't because only Sathagwa gave the boost.
Ow. I love Sathogwa, but still lol. Yeah. Alright, that is all.
Alright. So, in conclusion, Smoky is neat. Let's just go on to the next neat.
I think he's cool, and we will probably reference him several times.
And he doesn't mean in this stream, he means in every coming stream, because, like...
I mean, I could reference him in this stream if you like.
Nah, I feel that's not necessary. Anyways, Irby, take it away, if you will. Was your favorite of the bunch, Catoblepas?
Alright, let's start with the least interesting unit of the banner. Amazing. Catoblepas. He is basically a tanky disruptor, tank charmer, that is the first unit to be able to get 100% permanent taunt on himself. So I guess that is a good thing because you can now place him wherever and bait enemy units into wherever Catoblepas is for the first time ever reliably without having to rely on CS or like Combat Tigre having to CS constantly to apply his taunt or Summer Sathogwa as well, or Alp having to move, etc. He does it automatically. It's 100% for both rarities, so that's pretty interesting.
That's my one saving grace for not pulling any of the higher rarity units. At least I can taunt still.
At least you can taunt with the 3-star unit. So yeah, basically he's meant to be taking a lot of damage, and he cannot be moved at all because he has reverse omnidirectional movements -1, or he has. So basically, he cannot move. unless he CSs, because the CS gives him a movement expansion buff, or he's given a movement expansion buff by other units like I think it was Kurogane or Yoritomo, etc. Yoritomo is probably the only one that can consistently give him that. But why would you want to move him? Because he has pretty much almost 100% charm. If he CSs, he gets 100% charm on shot range on move, but that is literally all the effect you get from moving him, unfortunately. But it's still pretty powerful. We don't have such a reliable form of applying charm, especially not in a big range like this. You probably need to bring Smoky God and Charmer to get the same effect as this reliably. He also has, in addition to this, he also has additional means of defense to help him survive a little bit, although they're not actually that reliable to keep him fully protected, so that is quite unfortunate. He has phase start defense up, which does last 4 turns, but if phase takes longer than that, or if for instance you switch phases and he only has like 1 turn left of it, he's going to be pretty much taking all the damage from the next hit he takes.
Unless he charms them.
Unless he charms them, I guess, but he would need to move to or hit the very low proc rate charm on hit. He has basically three ways of charming units: by moving, which he cannot do without extended movement, which is the highest rate he has for it. He also has on hit when he gets hit, and also when he attacks. Both of these last two are not really reliable, but they are okay. They're not the worst rates for charm, at least in the game.
Yeah, that
Enchantress,
which is just by itself really shit.
But yeah, I guess if you really want, you could pair him with Smoky God to get these rates super high. But no, I'm not gonna say that. So yeah, that's pretty much all he has going for him. He does deal additional damage against charmed units, which is pretty neat, and he does get he does have self CP charging, just so he can start CSing faster. He also applies charm weakening to hit units, which is, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of pointless, but
just makes them stronger against charmed units, I guess.
Yeah, it basically increases the damage units take while they're charmed, for 3 turns, and the multiplier isn't really that high. I guess it's a new debuff, but at the same time, it's not going to change anything.
Nourishment.
The cool thing is, yeah, nourishment. Woohoo! Nourishment with a condition that they need to be charmed to work. And he needs to hit them on snipe range, which doesn't actually apply to the whole team. But yeah, he does. As I said before, the charm is 100% if he CS it because he gets concentration when he moves.
It's kind of annoying that he doesn't apply charm on charge. So it's like, if he doesn't, if they don't have charm, they're just not gonna.
The charm weakening isn't going to do anything if they're not charmed. So I guess it can trigger the enemies after debuff if you really want. He also has something that I didn't mention because it sucks. It is an attract 2x3, but it's 60%, so it is ridiculously unreliable. There are many ways and other units that can do this better.
Yeah, it's not exactly a helpful range for him either.
It's definitely not. And more often than not, it's probably going to not come into effect at all in your strategy and team building when using this unit.
Because like if I would play with him, I would see myself like just putting him in the corner in a large or tall map, and that's already out of the range of this pull.
Yeah, that was what I was going to suggest later. I do have some ARs that can be useful to use him with. the Ogre's Nightlife AR, which basically gives him an additional chance to charm units when he gets hit. The one with Ibaraki and Suzuka, Fashionista Suzuka. That AR does give him an additional chance to charm when he's hit. So that's 4 ways you can charm units.
Yeah.
If you really want to charm the units, it's good to have an AR that helps you even further do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going out of your way to bring a unit just for charm, increase the chance of charm, then.
Yeah, that he can also equip the LS Volos AR to further increase this chance of charming the units, and also help them with the rest of his breaks as well for 2 turns at least for every phase. That is pretty neat. Other ARs that I also recommend, since the unit is probably going to get hit, it's probably best to give him like an AR that gives him some form of defense or weapon defense or even reflect debuff. The reflect debuff from the Oniwaka Kushi AR. CP boosting ARs can also be good if you really want to get the movement expansion, but really I don't really see anyone using this unit for the on-move charm at 100%. Because you are wasting a movement turn just to charm a shot range. That's it. and you can't even use this reliably every turn. You need to get your movement expansion.
I found it helpful when I was testing it out in the Clash of the Crafters quest to give them an AR that passively gives them CP, such as I had someone on support that equipped the Tajikaro Hogan one, which gives 2 CP every turn, and it was nice because it was just in the case that he doesn't end up just killing the unit he brings in and he charms them, then like another unit's gonna move in, and eventually his entire column is just gonna be full of enemies. So this kind of helps him just deal more damage than just to the one directly in front of him.
Yeah, I forgot to mention as well that he does gain tenacity after being hit at 80%, but it's only after being hit, so he's going to take the blunt force of the attack first. So he's tanky, but he's not that tanky.
Not Furufumi tanky. He wishes he was Furufumi. Actually, he's like, isn't his like a fucking profile supposed to be a cosplayer? Maybe he's cosplaying Furufumi.
He is a cosplayer. Supposedly, the reason why he has this reduction of omnidirectional movement is because he's so huge and built that he just trips all over the place, and that's his thing.
I feel like that's something
That's stupid.
people on like Twitter who make OCs write in their characters, because like no one who's that strong would have that poor coordination. What the hell?
Fake flaw. Also,
Yeah.
Oh,
his
they're so
HP,
cute when they're so strong.
his
and they
HP
trip.
stat. His HP stat looks kind of trash. I just looked at it just now. It just kind of 6,800. That's not that much.
I mean, that's the case since he has a respectable amount of HP too.
What?
Yeah.
HP?
No,
Yeah.
he was
Attack.
talking about
Yeah, I'm
his
saying like
attack.
if people have good HPs, they usually have crap attacks.
No, I'm saying his HP is kind of low for a
No,
tank
yeah.
unit.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
What's
Yeah, but-
Furufumi's base man? I thought it was like.
bas-
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
Because he's also not meant to be entirely a tank. All of these recent units are based on having multifunction on defense and attack. So he'll also deal some damage to charm the units because of his 2x multiplier.
And several ways of charming units. Yeah.
Yeah,
Furufumi has 9,358.
Okay, never mind. Cancel what I said before.
Because I thought it was weird. Because like I remember like units like other non-units like Lianan or Summer or Sethalgua and Furufumi.
Yeah.
I remember them having like a fuckload of health. And this guy, he doesn't even reach. He just barely reaches 10k when he's max seeded and leveled. Like
yeah. It's to compensate for his actually high attack because he's actually supposed to attack as well.
yeah, I don't.
With the advantage against charm.
Not for me, Doc.
Yeah, he's probably the weakest of the batch, in my opinion.
I think he's mostly useful for cheesing with taunt, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
to ferry him in the corner so he won't hit the main party. That's it.
If you're gonna do that strategy, there are some other units I'd recommend with him. Just units that can advance the board so that they're even further out of reach from him. Even though he wants to deal damage to them, just no, just push him away so he doesn't take more damage. And also just, I guess, not necessarily advancing the zone, but just squeezing all the enemies together too. So I would suggest Nightglow's Kusuga, surprisingly, the underdog of the Nightglow's batch, as well as Marduk, and then just have them push all the units upper into the corner and go after him, and then you can kind of just safely aggro in that direction while you stall with the rest.
Oh yeah, I have a number of complaints about him. First of all, he does not look like a Catoblepas. He's he has like a dog nose, and it's like you can barely see his horns. I know they're small, but the hair basically makes it. I mean, his face doesn't look like a bull's anyway, or whatever the Catoblepas is. I believe it's like a bull or ox-like creature that has petrification. And also, why does he charm instead of petrify? Petrify is actually a stat.
No, okay, but that was like LifeWonders' mistake that they never wanted to release.
Well, I mean, the effect was obviously too overpowered, but yeah, it's kind of silly that they just added charm instead of why isn't it also some sort of movement stopping effect? I mean, charm functionally is a movement stopping effect, but I don't know. Charm is just it just strikes me as very weird.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I guess he is a cosplayer, so I guess he's charming the people. Yes.
No.
Oh, I didn't mention that he gets decreased skill activation rate when he has darkness. So, yeah.
I guess because he can't see or something,
so
he can't get the stink eye.
Yeah. So another reason to bring the Oniwaka Kushi to prevent darkness or something like that.
It's not
debilitating him or something like that.
Yeah, it's not super common unless you're dealing with warmongers or something like that. But yeah. It's to keep in the back of your mind. Okay, if we're all done talking about this, you can go ahead and read the comments, Irby.
Wait, actually, I kind of like how out of center he is on the picture to the left there.
I was just trying to focus on the other features, not just his face.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny when I saw. I was like, "Is that out of frame?" And then I realized, yes, it's pretty out of off center rather.
It's artistic license. Shush. All right.
All right. Where did you leave off? Tatugua. Okay.
Yeah, there.
Actually, let me change to live chat. Okay, Tatugua. So I like Wasp's art, but Catoblepas does not look like a Catoblepas. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that.
This was the first comment. Yes, Catoblepas. Long game Taros mask.
Who, if you remember, had that one turn taunt and evasion.
Yeah. He also has that charm when being hit at 90% or something like that.
Yeah.
For one turn. Catoblepas do be kind of thick though, because he can get pretty tanky.
Not with that HP stat.
Oh shit. But yeah, it is pretty low HP stat. But I mean, he does have 2 defense buffs, but one of them is only going to work.
It's functionally one, really.
Yeah, it's just one. Catoblepas has a mesmerizing eye instead of stone gaze or deadly breath. Nice interpretation of the myth from LifeWonders. Catoblepas is prone to exploding. What?
As in, he's squishy.
Oh yeah. Kind of, yes. He does paralyze people still, just not in a stone way. Move out of the way, Catoblepas. No, I don't think I will. Pretty much.
He's not actually resistant to force movement though, but okay.
Yeah, he can actually be pushed back and pulled in, which is kind of funny. I wish they gave him a turn to move. Yeah, that.
Just bring that close Kurogane.
Yeah, or yeah.
Shiro, Jamboree Shiro.
Or just put Yoritomo behind him and there you go, long-term movement for him. Except for 1 turn every 3 turns. Smoky God gets a B, Catoblepas is a B.
B minus, wasn't it?
Oh, B. Gets a B minus.
You're rating Catoblepas higher than Smoky? Interesting.
Yeah. Catoblepas is kind of shit, in my opinion, but sure. We haven't had a lot of content to test these units on, to be honest. Of course, the unit with high charm rate can only get it off after moving, which you can't do until he's charged. There's balance, and then there's going too far.
This is like another case of fucking Kimun Kamui, who does nothing incredible until he gets his charge, and even then it's like only okay effects.
Who?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is non-range on charge.
Yeah, kind of like that. I mean, I think he's still better than Catoblepas, though.
Well, he is cuter.
I wasn't talking in that sense, but yeah. Catoblepas, the ultimate cosplayer. Tetsu Wakan is good since his taunt refreshes for stalling. Yeah, that is true, but also, I didn't mention it mostly because I was thinking of this, right? Leaving him somewhere and then not doing anything. But yeah, he will proc the tenacity and the taunt, but even if the taunt is every 2 turns, so that could help him effectively get this CS faster as well. Yes.
Yeah. It depends on if you actually want that CS. I mean, it's an okay CS. Just since in the setup where you're stalling and everyone else is on the side, I mean, you still want him to be doing damage too. So sometimes he won't be able to hit most of the units. So having snipe range to just give them a peck every now and then would help. So yeah, the walk on AR would be good.
Yeah, I'm just not very used to using that AR on the tankier types of units. But yeah, it's perfectly viable. Yeah, it's low, and due to his taunt, it's prone to explode. God forbid he fights a red unit. So basically, you're saying he should have been none. Actually,
he kind of functions like one, anyways.
Yeah,
I feel like he should have been done.
It would have been a lot better unit than a short range.
Because then they would have been able to justify giving him HP.
Yeah, they could have given him higher HP at least with that. And they could have given him other effects other than increased damage against charm.
Wait, as a side note, I just you remember that Valentine's quest where they taunted everyone in the back row in your team? Well, taunt mechanics like that is pretty much dead now that Catoblepas exists.
Oh yeah, I don't remember that challenge quest, to be honest.
It was the one with McCroik, and he was like second phase or something.
Did he do that?
Well, yeah, he was always chasing after the one who was in back rather than in front, so he couldn't just stall with someone in front or something.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh yeah, that's why I wanted Kuma to be diagonally adjacent to my taunting. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah. Yeah, that is okay. That happened once.
It could happen. I know. It could happen again. All right.
All right. Okay. It can. Yeah. And if Valentine Coliseum gets rerun, it will. The quest will appear again. So there's that. What else? I redact my score. He BC plus boar face bull body with horns. Catoblepas has horns. I never saw them. I only think it's charm because people are mesmerized by his appearance.
Well, I gotta admit, when I first saw him, I was like, "What is that?"
Yeah, he does have horns.
Yeah, I only noticed them in his 4-star, and then I went back and looked at his 3, and I was like, "Oh yeah, they are there," but they're very hard to notice because of his hair.
When I first saw him, I was just like, "Is this like the next Shadow Shino or something?" But then I was like, "No, it looks more like Furufumi."
No,
but now I don't even know anymore.
It's Furry Fumu.
Oh my god. Shino and Furufumi had a baby.
Ara, have you added Catoblepas to the sheet yet? To the spreadsheet?
I think I updated it, but I can't remember if I updated for the most recent units ones.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It wasn't there. I was gonna go compare him, but yeah, he's definitely on the lower end. He's like just a bit squishier than Kotaro. So yeah, he's very squishy.
I don't know.
HP stat.
Just push them away so they don't actually hit him. I don't know.
Okay, Catoblepas. Okay, no. Gerber, that's more due to Wasp drawing him than his own self. Catoblepas is drawn by Wasp, so I'm gonna pull for him Sans is real. Is Tsumugi's persona? I have no idea who is Tsumugi.
Tsumugi is a Danganronpa character who is the ultimate cosplayer.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, I suppose. And that's pretty much it for the comments.
Okay, let's move on because we have stood in place long enough, talking about this unit longer than Catoblepas has stood in the corner.
He petrified all of us with that withering gaze.
Petrified us with his abysmal kit. Anyway, that's not bad. Fuxi, is that correct?
Yes, Fuxi.
Okay, it is up to you, Zelgus. We're counting on you.
What do you mean you're counting on me? Alright, so Fuxi, he has, I'd say, like Smoky God, he has another pretty interesting kit that has two parts to it. So the first and I guess most major part that stands out is a non-obstruct weakening. So he applies non-obstruct weakening globally on face start at 100% rate, which is nice. Thank God it's not low rate of some kind. That would be terrible. And when someone is not holding obstruct, they take ×4 damage, which is, you know, the same as a crit. So that's a lot of damage. The problem is that he applies obstruct every turn in a 3-square diamond around him. I noticed that you fixed the description.
I try to fix that one again, obviously.
Yes. So for posterity, he applies obstruct in a 3-square diamond radius.
Oh, that should say around self, not enemies.
Yes, on himself. So it originates from him. He's in the center. On the wiki, this has been parsed wrong for some reason, and it says 199 times 199 radius, implying that it approx on every single square. Yeah, that's not true. I have tested this. It originates from
You could
Fuxi,
just looked at the direct Boardnet caster skill page. It shows the individual ranges. It was probably just a problem with it trying to fuse ranges together and having multiple targets at the same time.
Yeah, so non-obstruct weakening, very powerful effect, global, but people somewhat close to Fuxi will be applied with obstruct, and it pretty much means it doesn't work on small maps because Fuxi will almost certainly be hitting the entire map most of the time. For this reason, I would usually try and hide Fuxi in the back line so that he can stop applying or reapplying obstruct. It does, however, work very well in CQs where people are immune to obstruct, because that's basically just a free crit buff to the entire board, which is kind of ridiculous, to be frank. The other way to make use of non-obstruct weakening, besides just hiding Fuxi away until obstruct wears off, which is just like 3 turns, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be.
I never use obstruct, so
Wait.
the other way, what?
Obstruct 3 turns. I'm pretty sure it's 3 turns. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, okay. So the other way to make use of obstruct weakening, non-obstruct weakening, is to have someone who can remove debuffs. Unfortunately, there are only 2 units who do this currently.
I mean, it's fortunate that we even have units now, but
honestly, yeah, it's kind of fortunate that we even have 1 unit that can do it. Because Shiva doesn't count.
It does count.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of selfish because only he can make use of it. Because well, I guess it would still be crit to everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first unit is Alice 4-star with her new Evo in the stream that we talked about last stream.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that right?
Something like that.
I think I tripped over my words there. Yeah, so Alice's Evo allows her to remove all debuffs and buffs in a magic range when she moves. So she can use that to remove obstruct, and then they're going to be taking crit level damage, and they're going to have no buffs available to them. So that can be a pretty strong combo, but you would need to sacrifice the move slot for that. And the other is making use of Shiva. Shiva 5-star CS, and I guess his 3-star CS removes 1 buff. His 5-star CS hits the entire board and removes all buffs and debuffs from the map. However, he cannot remove non-obstruct weakening because it's a non-removable debuff. So he will benefit fully from the 4 times multiplier.
Are we just gonna forget about Gomon?
Go on. But he reapplies it, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. Fuck.
He applies obstruct again. What is the point?
He makes it worse, if anything.
Yeah, he applies obstruct on head.
No.
How dare you? I was actually looking through the list of remove debuff for enemies, and yes, only Goemon is there for single debuff, besides Shiva 3-star CS. But he reapplies it, so not Goemon. It'll make it worse.
Wait. Milk is saying 2 turns. I guess I was wrong. Sag.
Now, 2-turn duration obstruct. Yeah. So Irby has actually tested Shiva 5-star because he has a high SA level Shiva, isn't it? Is it 41 or 61?
It's 21 only, actually.
Oh, I thought it was higher than that. But he has tested it with Shiva and Fuxi, and it kind of does a ridiculous amount of damage, to be frank, for something that purges all debuffs.
It's
or
like a
buffs,
challenge
rather.
plus color right there.
Yeah, Fuxi, that effect of his it's going to be invaluable in pretty much any CQ, because you can't really counter non-obstruct weakening except by being vulnerable to obstruct, because I don't think you can negate non-removable debuffs at this point.
I mean, there probably will be some enemies that will make something like, apply obstruct to self and obstruct strengthening or something
What
like
the
that.
fuck?
That would be really...
That would be like very anti-Fuxi there.
Yes, that would be
So-
really dumb, and obviously a targeted...
I mean,
but
they made conflagration strengthening. I mean, I believe in anything now.
I guess. Anyway, so that's probably the most interesting part of his kit. The rest, he also makes it harder for himself to get away from enemies to stop applying obstruct, because he pulls in an AoE and the unit that he hits. So I didn't actually test this, but if he hits 2 units, I think he'll pull them both 2 spaces. Did either of you test this?
I don't know him, and I wasn't that interested in testing him as part.
Well,
I didn't test him at all outside the
I only-
obstruct awakening with Shiva.
Yeah, I just tested the obstruct range. I assume it will pull 1 tile for every enemy he hits. But yeah, it makes it harder for him to make use of obstruct weakening, so that kind of sucks. But I guess it is pretty reliable, so you could actually use it for that if you.
If he's in the very back, he can only obstruct 1 unit anyways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
yeah, but if you start pulling them in, but you would have to give up your own front line. But yeah, but it is a 90% rate, and he does pull a lot and in a wide area, so definitely something that you could make use of.
Also, it's not the worst thing that of the 1 square that he can't obstruct because of the other effect, which I'm sure you'll get to.
Yeah, well, he also has remove buff to enemies near the hit units, which is kind of dumb because it's not the enemy that he hits, and it's also a terrible rate at 30%. Use Smoky God. No, don't. I don't know why the rate on that is so god awful, but it's really...
It's always like that.
It removes it
No.
near hit units, not the actual unit who said
Yeah, I
that.
know. That's what I said, and it's like... I don't know why it's like that, because if you're hitting 1 unit, it's a useless skill.
It's not useless for the specific unit hits either, apparently, because Milk apparently found out that if you hit a dead unit with Guts, it still removes buff, even though it's supposed to only apply to the units around them.
Yeah.
What?
It-
That doesn't make sense.
I think it's because it's a catch case. It always behaves weird whenever it's Guts at 0 HP, and it seems that I think the game just parses for if the effect has remove buff somewhere, and it just like removes Guts either way. Because I think we saw something similar before too.
I actually saw this happen when I was testing Shiva and Fuxi in the attack scene quest, because I was trying to kill the last enemy on that stage, and without wasting my time with Shiva's CS, by just attacking him regularly and then moving Fuxi to remove buff. It wasn't reliable, but he did remove the guts from the last enemy, because the last enemy does that.
Should be
Kinda
guaranteed if
feels
there's
like-
air HP, but
I kind of feel spaghetti code there, but...
it is
whatever.
spaghetti code. The entire process of removing Guts is weird. We also saw something similar, I believe, with, like units that had spread all buffs or like copy all buffs or something like that, and they also removed buffs weirdly enough with Guts. But yeah, I think this is a nice bonus in the case of if you're doing like Shiva spam and they have like an after being hit Guts, then like you can just cheese it up by having Fuxi do the last hit right after.
Yeah. Alright, so... that's the first half of his kit. The other half is that he throws out a million buffs every turn. Except the thing is that it's in kind of a weird spread. Oh yeah, also debuffs. It's in this really weird spread where none of the buffs overlap with each other. I made this nice infographic. It's all pretty high rates. All of his buffs are 90% rate, I believe, and the possession and doubt are at 70% rate. It from this spread, absolutely none of the buffs overlap, and you have to be pretty spread out to take advantage of it, unless you're directly next to Fuxi. I mean, it's a nice spread of buffs. Concentration is still kind of rare, and it's pretty valuable. Even, you know, just for being an attack buff, honestly, having it turn start means you'll pretty much always have it, because 90% rate. And, but I don't know how I feel about the spread. It's definitely, like, useful to have such a reliable and consistent buffer, but I don't know how easy it will be to play around. Well, I'm sure it'll be fine. He should be sitting in the back anyway, so he should be able to reach someone with such a wide spread with something. The blessing also helps with a bit of sustain, I guess, if you stall or something, which you might have a reason to stall. I'll mention that in a moment. And in the third square in front of him, he will apply doubt and possession. As a reminder, doubt makes it so that if you do not have possession, then you will deal 10 times less damage. If you have possession, you will deal 10 times more. So it's a packaged effect together, so I'm pretty sure you will always possess the enemy if capable. So it makes them hit pretty hard. If they're in that tile, they'll be obstructed, but it shouldn't matter anyway, because then they'll be doubted. So, well, they'll probably be doubted. It's only 70%, but yeah. You can probably turn it back to the other page. I just made this to try and make myself not have to illustrate
by words
all the ranges.
Yeah, range. Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, it says it right there, but yeah, that's the spread. I don't know how easy it will be to take advantage of them, but yeah, they're definitely useful. And he has another effect, which is that every 8 turns, the slow clocks, he will deal 20,000 damage to all enemies. This is global, and much like Smoky God's clock, it is on total turns. So I also tested this, and yes, you can just go into a phase on phase 8, 16, blah, 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 and immediately trigger the countdown level damage. So that's definitely something useful you can play around, or you can stall with it and blessing if you want. So yeah, that's it. Half of his kit is based around non-obstruct weakening, which I think it will have the highest applications in CQs, where they're immune, because then you pretty much just get a free buff that they can't get rid of. And the other half is just spitting out buffs every turn, buffs and debuffs every turn. Got a bit of stall in there, but I don't know if I'd use... He's the sort of character who I don't think you're really going to use in most maps.
Unless you happen to have Shiva and...
Yes, unless you're using Shiva or Alice to do some meme non-obstruct weakening thing. I mean there are...
it is pretty useful for farming attack seeds right now, if you have Shiva.
Yeah,
well, aren't you lucky?
The key idea is that, so yeah, one of the key setups with this unit is having Shiva, but also, if not your own, but you can have a support Christmas Ryota. So, Shiva, 50 CP.
No one has Christmas Ryota. They'll never rerun his mana.
No one has Christmas Ryota. No one will ever have it.
But yeah, also he takes 3,000 damage when you move him, so don't move him. His CS is pretty useful. Removes 3 debuffs. Removes 3 buffs, which is quite a nice clear at a snipe range. He doesn't have any way of charging up his own CS, but if you manage to get it, it can be useful. And a attack up spread and a pull, I guess, where he pulls anyway. And the attack up spread is nice, even if it will probably be a low grade attack up. As for ARs, once again, like Smoky God, I pretty much have no suggestions for it, so just bring the Wiseman AR or Sun and Oil for support.
I think Wiseman is actually very good because it actually does help when he shows up and applies obstruct to the units in front of him.
Yeah, you can apply even more burst.
I'll just make the enemy that is like in like 2 squares ahead super mega dead. Not the one that's possessed, but the one directly behind that.
What was it that I said last time? This unit doesn't really do much, so apply Sun and Oil.
Please.
Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah, you can also give him the the drain AR because it stacks with.
I guess yes. I was considering saying that, but then I realized that no one takes advantage of. I mean, no one tries to rely on. No one relies on obstruct and drain.
But together, it's like almost as good as anything like skill lock.
No, not really. In fact, the obstruct was so useless that they made it beneficial to not have obstruct.
That's the true irony right there.
Kind of funny, but yeah.
When will I get non-spirit strengthening?
Soon. So yeah, I think Fuxi's interesting enough kit, but not a general use one. Gotta definitely have to strategize around it specifically.
Besides the Shiva Ryota Fuxi strategy, there was another team setup that Milk brought to my attention, and that is kind of just if you notice his damage buffs or defense debuffs, they are fairly rare, and they actually don't stack with Lianen's buffs or with Valentine Kenta's buffs. So you can bring all three of them to make one unit super hypercharged with non-overlapping buffs between Brawn and Attack Up, and Concentration, and Vigor, and Ardor, and non-obstruct weakening. And weakness if you bring the AR with fucking Duo. So, and crit. So, that'd be really funny. Impractical in most cases, but funny.
Yeah. I think I actually took advantage of that on the HP scene quest, sort of, with Christine getting the... well, I didn't actually use Holland Kenta because I couldn't use it on that situation, but yeah, it does stack quite nicely with the concentration buff and the non-obstruct weakening.
And you should bring Aja to do it to get that weakness advantage and remove us. The true meta, the unholy four.
We are not going to use Aja.
That weakness advantage, though.
No one is going to use Aja.
I didn't make a single Yu-Gi-Oh joke. Fuck, I wrote that at the top of my notes and then I forgot about them because I haven't been reading them. Yes, he has cards, and he says he's actually a gambler and a duelist, and says draw, but not monster card, unfortunately. Insert Yu-Gi-Oh, more Yu-Gi-Oh jokes here. I need to watch that.
He sends you to the Shadow Realm at turn 8.
yes, he does that. Should I read the comments now?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Where were we?
Somewhere.
Where we at Tsugumi's first Sona.
He's fun with C. Tangaroa. Who, this guy? Or...
The Tsumugi. Do you see that?
No. He's fun with C. Tangaroa.
Oh yeah, that's
Do you mean
yeah.
Fuxi or...
I mean, everything is fun with C. Tangaroa.
Is it? I've never really used him except in the farm quest because I don't own him, so...
Well, I guess not everything now that Sandayu exists.
Well, we'll get to that. Banish his sister to the Shadow Realm, who knew what. My brain, Fuxi, it makes everyone crit, forget everything else. I mean,
Fair enough.
Could just take advantage of that. That is one of his big attract points.
That's the only thing I care about is good, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it is fun to see big numbers. Let's see, 2 turns. Yeah, obstruct 2 turns. No one uses obstruct, so I didn't expect to remember that. The Ophion variant replacement. Yes, that thing that we'll never get because Ophion. No, Ophion will always be #1 Dragon Daddy. Why does everyone like him so much?
He's like assertive and knows what he wants. It's nice for some people.
Is it? Fuxi is my new spouse, Ophion, who? Move aside, Ophion, your replacement is here. People are just jumping to the next one because they know Ophion won't get a variant. It's that and Fuxi ended Ophion's career. Oh yeah, we have been getting a lot of scalies lately, haven't we?
Yeah.
Y'all have a goal to disrespect Dragon Danny. It's that is not a lizard dragon, he's a lizard or something.
Isn't he like an iguana or something?
He says that in his win quote, but I don't actually know if means he's an iguana or not. I haven't actually looked up the translation for that line. But I don't know what he is.
He looks like a dragon, he is a dragon. There you go.
But
They're
he's
all
like
the same.
He's kind of like
Scalers.
crunched like an iguana, but okay.
Same thing. No. Fuxi is really about to send someone to the Shadow Realm. Yeah. He definitely does. His fourth skill is more lore specific than anything. Or what the buffs? Oh yeah, the trigram board. I guess it's supposed to be like wherever you're standing on the trigram board relative to him, you get X buff. So that's interesting. I don't know enough about the trigram boards, unfortunately. Besides that, it looks cool. His HP decrease seems to slow outside of high difficulty quests and dungeon quests, assuming you get enemies those turns. Yeah, much like the Smoky God's clock, although Fuxi is even slower. He's 8 turns instead of 5 to 7. But I mean, you can definitely stall for it. Like I did a cool map where I had Lianan attacking for over 60 turns. So, you know, anything can happen. There are plenty of ways to stall in this game, unless the map in question strictly forbids it somehow. On turn 7, he draws his trap card and uses it on turn 8. I'm back. Did I miss something? I guess you missed Fuxi and Catoblepas. Screw Between Heaven and Earth 2 quests. I don't remember which one that is. Is that one of the seed quests?
I still haven't unlocked the chapter 11 quests yet.
Between Heaven and Earth 2.
I think it's the chapter quests.
Yeah.
I think it's a chapter quests, chapter 11 quests, but I don't remember. I did that long ago last year.
Same. I'll read the story one day. Fuxi is a B- unit that his buffs are nice but can be hard, annoying to position around. His damage is meh, but he lives for a good bit. I mean, I don't think his damage and survivability is really that important because he's probably going to be sitting in the back if you want to sit in the if you want to take advantage of Strike Weakening. Also, Yugi's persona. Yes.
If you, people were comparing it to Yu-Gi-Oh! As well as like Kakegurui, if you know what that anime is.
No. Or maybe I do and I just didn't hear you right.
It's Kakegurui is like the anime full of those like girls that went to like a gambling school or something, and then they like laugh at you and make disgusting faces as they laugh at your misfortune.
Girls laughing, JPEG.
Pretty much. That's the entire anime.
No, I don't know that. Ophion couldn't decide whether he wanted to become Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist or a Kakegurui character. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Part of Fushi's Obstruct is that if you can get a doubt-possessed enemy, they ideally won't die to non-obstruct weakening, and they will attack the rest of their team or enemies for 40%. 40 times.
I guess that obstruct weakening also applies for the possessed unit to his allies too. So that's interesting. Good point.
Yes, I guess. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Fushi's fourth skill technically makes him a link monster to the direction of his buffs. There's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Joke as modern as possible. Unfortunately, I really only know the OG Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff. Like, you know, when Summoned Skull was a good unit. A good card.
I'm not going to pretend to know the rules, but I've seen videos when I was passing my time. It's essentially there's like some new slots above the monster row where like you like put link cards and then they're like in diagonal formation and they have to be in specific positions and then combine together to kind of have new functions.
So now it's more of a board game.
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, I don't really look into like the GX stuff much, but all I hear is that I always hear jokes about how in the old days special summons were actually special, and these days you just link everything and special summon entire sets of monsters. So, but yeah, this is not the Yu-Gi-Oh! Stream. Link monsters. Fuxi fourth skill is from him watching Naruto. I haven't actually watched most of Naruto. Actually, everything Yu-Gi-Oh! TVH. How dare you? Season 0 is awesome. Everyone should watch Season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh! So you can see Yami Yugi punishing everyone with sadistic... Actually, read the manga instead. It's better.
Okay, Zelkas. I did like Lil Karibo's parody of it, but...
Burned a man alive. It was a convict, it was fine. And trying to shoot someone.
Of course.
Since MC can summon multiple transients, they're clearly a pendulum tech user.
Yeah, no!
I should have asked for all these things. Kakegurui, if you haven't watched it, watch for the memes at least. Fuxi is the kind of dragon that takes all your coins in Mario Party. I don't actually know his personality, although I do like his voice. Season 0 with Evil Mokuba. Yeah, none of the characters, or at least Kaiba and Mokuba, didn't really... kind of completely different characters. Speaking of Naruto, we got fucking Asuma in this banner. Yes, both Asuma and Sandayu are dead too. Too soon.
Somehow, Somehow this guy seems to be more of a cosplay character than Catoblepas. Between Yu-Gi-Oh, Naruto, and fucking, what was the other one?
Kakaguru.
Kakaguru, yeah. Jesus Christ.
Oh well. At the very least, I think I really like Fuxi's design. Like, I always like the trigram board and all that. But yeah, we can probably move on now.
All right. Any other comments you want to add on this before we go on, Irby?
No, not really. Only that I hope we get more non-debuff statuses. Just
yeah, I want.
threats.
I like those negative statuses. They're interesting conceptually. So.
It's also cool to finally have another form to increase Shiva's CS damage.
You can't really use it synonymously with Mephisto though, because you wouldn't be able to do turn 1 CSs.
I mean,
you can do it for one turn, for one time, I suppose. But
hey! At least Kuniyoshi still exists. There you go.
I don't remember what he does besides possessions.
Did you guys forget about non-buff weakening or
Oh yeah, that
Jeez.
thing where he hits things and they get non-debuff weak. Oh yeah, Abby, why don't you...
What the fuck is that? I forgot that existed.
He got an Evo where he got non-debuff weakening, and if he hits someone and they don't have a debuff, then they lose a bunch of defense. I think it was.
I completely erased that from my memory.
Anyways, looks like you'll have to wait for next time Nightmares reprinted Ruby if you want that maximum Shiva strategy.
Abby, pull for more Shiva essay now.
No, I need to save. But it was actually kind of lucky to get that extra Shiva on chapter 12. Because now I can reliably do the dungeon with just him and Ryota, someone else. The Ryota dungeon, that is.
Oh god. I still haven't touched that dungeon ever since I finished the story quest part of it. Fuck that dungeon.
Yeah, that is pretty much it.
Alright.
I have no more thoughts.
Alright, let's move on, and you can handle the last unit for us, if you will. With Sandayu.
The next unit is Sandayu. Okay. She's another one of those multi-purpose units that pretty much is both an offensive support and sort of a defensive support. A lot of recent units have been like this. They support. There hasn't been a lot of units that are only geared towards one thing for some reason. They're really trying to diversify the kits a bit more, just so that the next new units aren't explicitly 100% better than the old units. So I think that's kind of nice. You can also deal some pretty decent damage with it. You can inflict. First of all, I'm going to talk about his ability because he's also a repositioner, and it's pretty much a moveset that requires to be moved every turn to take advantage of his full kit.
By the way, Arby, you are audible, but could you move a bit closer just to be a tiny bit louder?
All right. Is this better?
Once per stream, at least.
Is this better?
Yes, it's better.
Okay. First of all, he has excellent first turn mobility for considering the other options we have are only like programming with units that have extended movement and Shiro and
he's the best for self-sufficient movement, at least in turn 1.
Yeah. He actually needs to move to perform his function, while he also has additional movement to do so. So that's pretty neat. He's going to be able to zoom almost all across the battlefield on the first turn. He's only going to miss one square horizontally unless if he starts on the exact end of one side. But yeah, he's going to help position units very quickly on the first turn with that. And even when it ends, when his movement expansion ends, he still has extra horizontal movement, which is pretty good for what he does. He has an effect with on movement, which is pretty much sort of like I don't want to compare this with Dagon, but it is kind of like, but not really like Dagon. He basically inflicts an attack debuff on the 3v3 radius and a defense debuff on the same radius as well. he also deals, which is pretty much Dazzle and Weakness. He also deals extra damage against Dazzle, so that's going to help him deal a bit more damage for that. The Weakness is pretty reliable. It's not 100%, it's 90%, but it's still pretty good.
It's the seed bait. That's what it is.
It's the seed bait. And if you seed bait him,
If you seed him.
If you seed him, yes. You can actually have a pretty good replacement for Nightglow's Kurogane for your coin dailies, because he's going to make almost anyone be able to call him. And if you equip him with the shooting stars, you have your problem solved, because he has the extra movement. He can easily move around the board and one shot his own column and help everyone else one shot their own columns, especially with the extra Lucky Cat AR, whatever. It is going to make it.
It's not kind of stacked with Lucky Cat's AR, but yeah.
It's not going to stack, but if he needs to move to one side or something like that, having the Lucky Cat there is going to give you other options. Personally, it works perfectly for Sadama using, but that's not important right
Did he manage to get him?
Yes.
He got everyone except Smoky 4.
Smoky 4, which was the one I wanted.
Nice.
Give me Sandayu.
No! He's my replacement for not getting Festival Hogan and Nightglow's Kurogane. Let me have this.
Alright, you may have one.
You may have one. Okay. So basically, you'll want him to stay on the front lines, because if you give him behind, he's not going to take full advantage of his 3v3 radius skills. And to help with that, he has numerous ways to reduce the damage. He has the Dazzle. He also has Guts when hit, which is pretty neat. It's at 40%. I think it's the same rate as Valenchino, actually. So if you use Valenchino, you know how often that's going to proc, I guess. And he also has a huge boost to resisting slash range damage, which can be pretty useful if he's in the center and you manage to not kill the slash units in front of you, or even if you're doing or even if they're on opposite ends and they just move in, it could be potentially deadly. It's good to have this extra defense for essentially what it's going to be essentially a frontline unit that is not really that tanky at all. So it is pretty neat to have him. He also has other neat things to help protect his team, which is pretty much a chance to apply evasion when he's hit or when he moves. So when he moves on the first turn of each phase, this rate is going to be 90% on a cross radius, but it's going to be reduced to 40% on subsequent turns. And this is always cross radius. It's unfortunate that it isn't one square round or something like that, but you take what it can get. It's not that bad, especially since he does have the extra movement.
It works with his range.
He does have the tools to take advantage of this range, and he also does have a 40% when being hit. These rates aren't actually that high, but if you do manage to proc them.
I was wondering, they're not that amazingly high, but I'm just wondering if it's not that high, why did they exclude it to self? Why?
It's just so you can use him with Triton, obviously.
Oh my god, they're stuff.
Yeah, he does gain a 10%
He likes Triton,
boost.
so
Yeah, he gains a 10% boost by using him with Triton, and Triton can give him evasion, and him can give him Triton evasion back. So that's kind of a neat thing to talk about. But one thing that hinders them is the fact that he gets massively reduced skill activation rate when he's under the effects of blessing and nourishment. So
he really
you
hates
probably
that.
you probably want to reconsider using units with these statuses.
use him with Choji and Ryota.
No, that's terrible. Don't do that. It's not going to do anything.
This guy seems like a hard sell to bring with dungeons just because of this, since moving dead seems to be so essential. At that point, you're just gonna want to have him not either.
I think
not
he's
move
a
beside
good.
him more.
I think he's a good alternative because he does have some decent damage on short range, and sort of reliably if you move him, and he does have the extra movement. But yeah, other than that, it can be a bit risky to use him with that. So I personally am not using him because I'm just too used to using that and another setup right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you mention that his 3-star is a mentor?
I was going to mention that, but I forgot and immediately jumped to the dungeon. So, yeah. He is a mentor on his 3-star, so we have a third permanent mentor.
We finally have a mentor who is able to increase damage somehow. Finally, Jesus.
I mean, Gene did that, but...
Yeah, but he was terrible at it. Now we have an 80% rate, even if it's only for one turn.
Yeah,
Gene was okay at it. He just had bad range.
Oh yes, also having a massive defense against slash range can be useful in the Thor dungeon.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a shame he doesn't have that defense on long slash as well, but...
And also a shame that no other unit really heals among mentors besides dead, so even if it's reduced damage, he's not gonna have any way to recover that health.
You can always take advantage of the guts, but yeah, it's only going to be like what 50 or 60% at max if you're moving a mentor in front of him to give him the glint. Yeah, it's not that high, but if you do hit 3 units with him, it does reach like 80-something%. So that's pretty nice. But yeah, for recommended ARs for him, honestly, I don't have any specific recommended ARs to give him.
Yeah, these all these units seem not super centered on ARs, to be honest.
I'd honestly just give him ARs that give him a fat attack boost to help him deal more damage. There's not a lot of things that he can equip that it would be like, oh, this is pretty neat. I want this on him. I guess you can equip ARs that help him restore a bit of health, like the Gunzo and Kuma AR or the Dagon and Tanjiro AR. I forgot to mention that about his CS as well. Basically, CS is okay, but I wouldn't say it's essential to his kit, to be honest. It's short range, he removes 1 buff and applies bind to the hit units and adjacents, which can make for some pretty neat 3x3 bind, but I mean, if I wanted to skill lock units on 2v2 at this range, I'd probably just move Daikoku or something like that and would leave it at that.
Yeah, and it's also just gonna be skill level 1, so you're not gonna get the max multiplier of bind anyways.
Yeah, so that's kind of a shame. Yeah, I forgot to mention, he is immune to all
movement disabling
movement disabling debuffs. Yes, so that is pretty strong for a unit that you're going to be moving a lot.
I think that's kind of dumb because it's supposed to be because he can, escape from anything because he can split himself apart. But if you're scared or literally paralyzed, how is breaking yourself apart going to help?
Just he detaches his amygdala from his brain. There you go.
I don't know, but it's cool that he has that at least.
Not immune to bind. Stupid.
This guy's like detachment, he said, right? He's like Buggy the Clown then, kind of.
Kind of. But yeah, you can see in his. What is supposed to be there is his head's coming off basically, where the blue fire appears. So yeah, he can detach what he wants.
I see.
Yeah, he's kind of ghosts.
Yeah, he's supposed to be chained down there, I think.
I didn't even realize I was a kink until you said it was.
I didn't realize until later where I saw some spicy art, and then I realized, oh, that's what it means.
Yeah, that's what they were going for with this.
LifeWonders representing every kink, even the ones I've never heard of before.
I mean, I see it sometimes.
Yeah, it happens. It appears a lot, unfortunately.
Don't know what kind of party you guys
yeah, That is pretty good. I think he's an excellent alternative for coin dailies and other regular content.
Yeah, it's good we're having more options for coin scuffles.
Not only coin scuffle, but quests that you're just casually trying to beat and just want a strong shot unit to clear a column or something like that. He's going to be pretty good at it. I'm not exactly sure how good he's going to be for challenge quests, but I guess only time will tell about that. He does have the required tools, but he doesn't have a lot of ground to be worked upon with those weakenings. And those weakenings do limit a lot because blessing and nourishment are very common. But
you can use regeneration, I guess, instead.
Regeneration is super rare.
Yeah, you're not going
never give it.
Yeah, it's very hard to get units to apply regeneration on them. At most, you're probably going to get function or something like that. But yeah, I'd say it's probably better used for the guts over healing him. And the damage dampening is nice, but if you can't get evasion up, I think your primarily source of defense for him is going to be that guts. And nothing else.
Yeah, I think he's got like his kit has a little bit of everything, but he's not especially good at one thing. So
yeah,
he's especially good at moving. No one else has been able to do it besides Sandayu after
he is very good at moving, especially on the first turn.
So just in principle of that, like I feel like he might get usage for, you know, like it's definitely better than like using a support Jamboree Shiro, right?
I think he's good because he's not Satoru, as in I have to because I don't need to move him and just once. I don't need to waste my movement turn on him. For even the other alternatives are kind of bad. For instance, if you've been Nightglow's Kurogane, just so you can have your move slot have additional movement, that means you're pretty much going to have Nightglow's Kurogane, who's not going to do anything if you moved your move slot that isn't Nightglow's Kurogane.
Yes, so kind of he moves once and then doesn't do anything.
Yeah, you're kind of wasting a movement turn when you use these units, unless you have like Jamboree Shiro.
No one has Jamboree Shiro.
No one has Jamboree Shiro. But yeah, unless you have Jamboree Shiro, this is the best you have because he pretty much benefits from moving at least, and you're not going to wasting one slot on a unit that gives everyone additional movement. It's kind of a waste of a slot in my opinion, and this kind of solves the issue because since he can do so much of everything, he's probably going to fit on most teams that don't have these blessing and nourishment buffs. At least that's my perspective on things.
Yeah, I guess you'd be better off with like quests that you can clear in one turn, but that helps a bit, I guess. But yeah, that one thing, along with being resistant to all debuffs that Sable moved, I think that'll be his shining life to keep him relevant moving on.
Why is his dazzle advantage so restrained? There are like 2 units in this banner with a 1.5 multiplier. It's like, why? Don't need to restrain it that much.
I mean, he's already infernal, and his attack stat is quite.
Yeah, and he has weakness. They probably just they wanted a specific value of damage for him to inflict, and 2 times is a bit too high.
he already has a lot of potential damage with weakness and infernal, and that attack stat is already quite high.
Well, I think they should give him some more.
It's already higher than Tsukuyomi.
Oh yeah, by the way, he inflicts weakness, so consider bringing Ita. Very important.
No.
I'm gonna keep on saying that every time weakness is brought up. Just watch.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I have no more thoughts on it unless anyone else has it.
No, I gave my thoughts.
He's hot.
He's hot.
He's pretty hot, yeah.
He does have a lot of blue flames.
I'm just kind of weirded out by his ninja shtick because it looks too exactly like in Naruto universe. Like if you told me that he's from Naruto and I like never saw him from Hoso, I'd believe you.
I mean, he kind of is. There's a reason everyone's calling him Asuma.
Oh my god. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I agree. He's pretty odd. So
yeah, I do have one final thought. Yeah, his kakaka is very catching.
Oh yeah. When I hear that, I was like, is that like a fucking the Sesame Street vampire? Kakaka.
I think it's because he was Goemon's mentor.
That's it. Okay, I like him more.
And since actually the Goemon we got is not actually Goemon, but
yeah, it's
he is trying to imitate Goemon, and the Goemon used to say the sha-ta-ta-ta-ta. I guess he says ka-ka-ka-ka-ka or something like that.
And yet there's no relationship on this. I can't believe this.
He's a faker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is something that I did forget to mention that Milk pointed out. Yeah. His CS is kind of bad because he can't pop guts. Yeah.
Why don't you read the comments before you comment on that?
Shino has the exact same problem.
Yeah.
Alright, Irby, go ahead and read the comments from the beginning. No skipping ahead, unless it's important.
No, it was important. We were still on the discussion.
Yeah, that's important. Okay, but now we go back to the beginning.
Where were we again?
Both Asuma and Sandayu are dead too. Rude.
Fuxi, I have faith in the heart of the cards. If you beat Fuxi in a card game, he will use 64 palms on you.
That's a Naruto reference.
It's a Naruto reference. Yeah, I remember. He was talking about the trigram. One of the characters in Naruto has an attack called the 64 trigram palms or something like that, where he basically strikes you 64 times in pressure points.
Yeah. It looks cooler than it sounds.
It's pretty cool.
Fuxi Hot Dragon love him and his global range weakness ×4. Yes, Titty Ninja. His 5-star not having his teacher uniform is a war crime. I mean, I don't know if it would make a lot of sense, him in teacher clothes, in that position with those chains.
Are you saying you don't want it?
I mean, some people are into that.
I know they are, but I guess this is possible. Fuck it. But yeah, 5-star Sandayu artist has him escaping chains by separating his body parts. 5-star Sandayu's kit doesn't resist orange. Sandayu is picky with his healing buffs and only accepts regeneration. I mean, he accepts unction and poison reversal, I guess. So there you go. You have those options. Those are your options for healing him if you really want to heal him. I used 4-star Yobu as a support for Sandayu because regeneration and dazzle advantage. Yeah. Was he so too strong that they had to give him blessing and nourishment weakening? No, that's not the case. That's the lore. Yeah. Yes, that's the lore. He's a ghost, so obviously healing with holy stuff and.
It's not a zombie.
I don't know why nourishment, but I guess since he's a ghost, he can't eat, so eating is bad for him.
It'll be bad for his figure.
But yeah, from a glance, he looks okay, or am I missing something? He's all right. I think he's a pretty decent unit, all-purpose unit. It might be to prevent synergy with other certain units. I don't think.
No, it's just lore.
It's just lore. Dullahan taking Go Fuck Yourself to a new level. Oh, here's a comment. His CS is bad in the sense that it means you can't gut guts on those turns. So you want to clear the phase with CS if you want to gut spam. Yeah, pretty much. That is something that I overlooked. But it does happen as well with Kalanshino. Naruto character looking ass. TLDR, if you're a meta hunter, this banner is a skip, but if you like beefy boys, go for it. I wouldn't say this is a skip. I mean...
It's not game-makingly good, but none of them are bad.
The Shiva meta is coming. Fuxi is important for the Shiva meta. He does a little bit of everything all the time. I got Sandayu 5-star when looking for Fuxi. And after knowing he's just an upgraded Bircho, but with shitty debuffs, if having one of the healing buffs. No, not. I wouldn't say he's an upgraded Bertro. Bertro is completely useless.
Bertro is
Bertro's-
bad evasion spam.
It's like his gimmick is like Glint, but it's like, why not just give him the rates properly in the first place? It's not like his evasion spam is that busted.
In fact, I think Bertro is probably the most useless unit that has ever released in the past year, probably. Except, yeah, I think McCroy is better. So
I managed to use McCroy. I don't think I'll be able to use Bertro.
I never thought McCroy was a bad unit. I just like couldn't really think of most adjacent to them.
In these sorts of in these days where we have all these insane kits, McCree's kind of vanilla-y.
Well, now we have the fancy duo AR, and that actually makes him stronger, so that's good.
So, shake my head, Sandayu, to the Forgotten Room. I have Bertro half-seated anyways, and his weakness range is better.
I'm sorry.
I mean, if I'm sorry, yes, exactly. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that... I don't know what to say about that. But if weakness was the only thing you wanted, I don't... I guess Bertro is better.
Like, guys, you guys know that like Vigor or Ardor or stuff like that has the same multiplier, and is just... like easier to obtain and lasts for longer. I don't understand why everyone wants weakness so much. I guess everyone really wants that 8 time happening.
I mean, if I wanted weakness, I wouldn't go for it on Bertro. I didn't even remember how he has weakness. All I remember is that he stacks concentration, 2 glints, and spams evasion poorly.
He has the pyramid weakness thing on turn start, and
the turn start one didn't even work because it's like it's turn start, so you're not going to get one of the glints up ready for that.
Yeah, that's a shame. But we're not here to talk about Bertro.
Yeah.
LifeWonders just wanted a Naruto OC in the game. Fake it till you make it. I just realized he doesn't resistance bind. Tend to add him to the Arc situation. I mean, Arc doesn't inflict bind. Also, so I guess bind isn't actually bind. The person with the rule of binding does not have bind. Channel pumping poison in him to heal him. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can do that. I don't think there's any particular synergy there, but yeah, it should work pretty well. Since he doesn't need to move at all, and it's more buffs and more dazzle, I guess. I think Channel applies dazzle, yes. Just slap Daikoku support for healing. IQ pilled. Yeah, but if you slap Daikoku, you're going to charge him faster. Which probably don't want. Yeah. Bertro isn't cute hot and isn't that good. The worst combination. I mean, I would say he's not good.
I think he looks cool because he looks like someone from Gunvolt, but yeah, I don't really care for his kit.
Yeah, I always looked at him because for the longest time he's probably like the only world unit that I hadn't leveled yet.
And it will stay that way.
Yes, exactly. I always looked at him and I was just like, what if I level Bertro? But then I always looked at his kit and just said, no, that's never going to happen. Unless I have no other units to level. Which is kind of a shame because he's actually a recent unit. I am kind of...
Is the Oz of this time?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, no, Sol is the Oz of this time. That is probably the.
I think Sol's more useful than Oz.
I mean, yeah, you do get 4 turns of protection, but that's all you have. I mean, I guess I managed to use him actually in a way that I couldn't use any other unit before on that Setsugon challenge quest. So I guess you're right.
Why are you even trying to make Sol work?
Because he likes him, I guess.
Yes, and he did work that one time. That without Leonard.
I guess. I mean, Oz might be more useful in that case, just for flat damage, but whatever.
Not with those rates.
Well, Smoky exists now, so maybe things will be
nice. Already, Smoky's paying off.
He needs to get hit, so he's not going to take advantage of that.
I guess. All right, I guess we're done talking about Sandayu.
How did this go on for almost 2 hours? We only got 4 units and an AR.
Honestly, it's because I wasn't watching our time to let it go on. I was just like, we've been all bored. There's no new content. Let's just let it run on. We haven't talked in a while like this anyways, so whatever.
Yeah, the units, I'd say probably don't pull on this banner because seasonal banners are probably coming since we don't have any. We only had like 2 event banners this year or something like that. 2 new event banners this year, and I've got a feeling that for the rest of the year we're going to get events non-stop, event banners non-stop. So in that sense, I say skip this banner, not because of the kits, but because of what's coming ahead. Because the kits are pretty nice, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I only have I pretty much used all my tickets, and but I still am saving some fragments and some of my stones because I know no one here is to die for anyways. I just really wanted Sandayu through, even though there's a very small chance I actually use them.
Also, I have another point to skip this banner is that when the next chapter comes out, which is probably going to be next year or something, you're going to be able to pull on this banner again. Whereas the events that will come after this banner, you don't know if they're coming again next year. So
got fucking year 1 summer reprint again as a summer Shikara. I'm sure if that happens, even at this one, I'm sure we can get anything reprinted.
Yeah, just like that Christmas Ryota, right?
That'll happen eventually. It'll happen, jeez.
Never.
Just quote me on this by the time Christmas comes. It's gonna release this Christmas, just watch.
No.
Okay, and thus concludes our discussion for whatever this was, Chapter 12, as well as the bonus AR that released a bit before it. What are your thoughts on the campaign right now, guys, besides the actual units?
There's a campaign.
Well, login campaign as well as the actual story. I think Irby's actually following the story. Do you need to catch up on the story here, Salgas?
I still haven't read chapter 10 or maybe 9.
What the fuck?
Reading's hard.
It's just you only read part 1, and there's 3 parts in part 2. Are you serious? Oh my gosh.
But no, the campaign, free stuff good, I guess. Sure.
There's nothing to do. I've been spamming the siege quests because there's literally nothing else to do. It's kind of boring.
Yeah.
But other than that, at least we're getting free shit until the end of the next week, I think, or something like that. And after that, we're getting nothing.
I feel the same way. It's been kind of slow. Prisma, you are asking if I'm gonna release the Chapter 11 videos next. Yeah, that's planned, but my motivation has been kind of low lately. I actually did start recording the first few parts of Chapter 11's translation, but then after that, I was just like, what if I lie in bed and do nothing instead? So tomorrow I'll finally have a day without any plans, so maybe I'll start recording then, maybe, if I can work myself up to it. But other than that, the first part of Chapter 11 seems okay so far. You'll see my comments more in the actual video. And the campaign, kind of cheap, honestly. Just login campaign of some drakes and stuff like that. Not a really big reward. And I'm just hoping for the next event to be worth my time in terms of me saving my stones. Hopefully I can spend some stuff again, because I am okay with skipping this banner after wasting a number of tickets for Sandayu. So yeah, it was okay. I'll just go ahead and read out the rest of the comments and I'll close the stream if that's alright with you guys.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Alright. Did a 10 pull and got Jojo, so I'm good. Congratulations. Smoky, it is a unit that will only get better as we continue on. I want
stand no power.
What is with that, anyways, that stand? Does that signify anything?
I have no idea what that is supposed to be.
That's cool, so maybe we don't need to ask.
Stands are cool, yes.
I want Summer Sass to get a huge buff. Honestly, same, but then, I don't know, we might get another case of fucking...
I honestly think none of the fashionista units are probably gonna get skill evolutions.
Some of them deserve them, but they're having cases where Christmas Melcene, if you remember that. Fantastic case of a unit who really needed one not getting one. And Suzuka, well, she's still the best 4-star in the game, so we don't need her to be buffed, obviously. I spent like 47 drinks for a taxi quest. I feel like I'm still saving my drinks for just in case. What's called if depending on if Chapter 12 releases an even better seed quest or not. But until then, I've just been grinding Infernal Giants. And Reed, honestly, I've been enjoying Chapter 11's story so far. That is a spoiler, and I will ban you for that. I'm kidding. But yeah, that concludes the discussion. You can find Irby and Zalgus' channel linked in the description. I think they have... Irby might have put in some new videos lately, and Zalgus hasn't put one up for a while, but...
no, my last one was Night Glows, I think. No, my last one was the rerun of Kanan, and that was it.
Honestly, I haven't made...
Mine are just seed quest stuff and coin those because there's nothing else.
Yeah, he did a funny Shiva meme. It was actually funny to watch.
I want to watch it, but I'm like, it's not a quest unlocked yet. I'll get to it eventually. But yeah, thank you for joining us today. Hopefully we can get through this lack of content together, and we'll be treated to something nice when the next event comes. We'll all talk to you guys later, and hope you have a good one. All right, on 3, guys. 1, 2, 3. Bye.